Hello, my astrology friends and family. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial here with the October 2022 video horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. And I'm calling October the month of the turning point month. Why is that? Because three planets are turning direction. At the beginning of the month, Mercury is turning direct in Virgo. Later on, Pluto is turning direct in Capricorn. Into towards the end of the month, on the 23rd, Saturn is turning direct in Aquarius, and at the very end of the month, the last 3 days, Mars is turning retrograde in Gemini. Crazy stuff. Why is that? When planets are turning direction, and so many at the same month, within 30 days, 4 planets, guys, are gonna turn direction. It's a pivotal time when events in our life also turn around, when events in the world also start changing. You'll see it will make a big difference this month. And the month ends with a big bang. First starts with Mercury turning direct, Pluto, Saturn, usually planets turning direct lead to things improving or becoming easier, more according to plan, not needing so much effort. So in many areas of your life, in at least 3 or 4 areas of your life, the beginning of the month up to the 20th, 24th, 5th, there will be things that becoming easier gradually, you'll notice. And in the world as well. But at the end, Mars is turning retrograde. This is when things become a bit more complicated for the whole world. And an eclipse. Eclipses always are a bit of a crisis period. And I'm going to talk a quick summary of what this means for the whole world. And then we're going to go into the 12 signs. But before I go, I want to make an announcement that we're making a big discount on all courses of the late great astrologer Nicola Stojanovic, who passed away last year. He is the most incredible astrologer with the most precise predictions I've ever seen. What we're going through right now, he predicted it on videos. The proceeds will go to his daughter, who is trying to continue his work and is trying to bring out more books that he was ready to publish. Hopefully this will help her with her work in more classes that he did. But the only classes that are ever available from Nicola Stojanovic, with the most incredible astrology method that I've seen, that he developed himself with precision that people thought he was psychic, is and very easy as well, is available only on astrolada.com, and we're making 30-40% discount on his courses for the next couple of weeks to 3 weeks. But now let's continue. First, Mercury turns direct, and initially at the very beginning of the month in Virgo is becoming visible. It might be quite good for the markets. It might be quite good for anyone from the beginning of the month who wants to publish, to write, to be heard. With businesses will improve, complications connected to communications will improve, connected to papers, to documents, will learning, will become, and any kind of communications and relationships generally should improve with people around you. But very good for anything that is written, spoken, business, marketing, and so on, to publish, to put it out there. And then Pluto turns direct. Some internal or external power struggles will start getting resolved, especially with authority figures, because it's in the sign of Capricorn. And then on the 23rd, Saturn becomes direct. But it means Saturn is stationary the whole month. And pretty much Mars is also stationary. It looks like they're sitting in one space. Mars in Aquarius, Mars in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius, holding a trine actually, which is good. So it might feel like some areas in your life are kind of stuck, that they're not moving, but it's almost like the quiet before everything turns around. There is like a peaking and it reaches a final level where it can't carry on like that, and then it reverses. But maybe because Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius, there might be certain important reversals, turning points about society, about any kind of restrictions imposed on society, that it might be like a final reversal of such matters. And that's the last time Saturn is retrograde, actually, in Aquarius, by the way. So any kind of restrictions imposed in society maybe should be reversed. Maybe some kind of new laws that can be created starting from the end of the month. and some kind of society overall in the economy. This is the economy. Any kind of limitations that were like restrictions and so on should be also reversed all over the world, hopefully. But then when having Mars turning retrograde towards the last 3 days, 4 days of October in Gemini. And retrograde means it starts moving backwards. And I'm hoping for retrograde planet also means things kind of being reined in a little bit. So I'm really praying that Mars in Gemini symbolizes fighting between brothers, fighting between neighbors, fighting between relatives. And we're seeing what's happening in Azerbaijan and Armenia, Russia, and Ukraine. Neighbors versus neighbors, states after state for states. I hope that it's some kind of a reversal in that direction, or reining in, or turning of direction in the wars that are being led right now between brotherly countries. So maybe if one is taken over now, there might be a change of direction who is taken over when the planet reverses happens. Plus, over the next 3-4 months after that, Mars retrograde can deepen the problems, but kind of with more cautionary approach while they're being re-examined, and a lot of truth starts coming out about those problems. But the big thing is also the eclipse that is happening on the 25th. Eclipse season is starting from October. You can be felt even before, a month before that. And there will be next one is in November. It's happening at the beginning degrees of Scorpio. New moon eclipse, something new with the south node. And it's very crisis prone, this eclipse, because it's in Scorpio, is the sign of crisis. Something sudden, unexpected, something that is removed from our lives, that is released because it's the south node, but only to make space for something new, which is Venus, indicated by Venus and the planet. And when there is a good planet, like we say, benefic with an eclipse, like Francis said, the ancients said that the malevolence or the difficulty of eclipses is decreased, or it's neutralized in some sense. So yes, it can create some crisis that happens around the world, but it will have like a silver lining in it, or in your own life as well. Early born Scorpios, early born Tauruses, early born Leos, early born or late, the late degrees as well of Libra can feel it. The late degrees of Aries can feel it. So some kind of a crisis, something new, but first you release something, so something new can be born, which is a Venus nature, like love or money or something that is brings happiness of some sort, material as well in some way. But the process involves releasing something first. Collectively, Scorpio is the sign of taxes. There might be, and this eclipse shows what will happen in the next 12 months. So maybe not immediately in October, but over the next 12 months, including 2023, there can be a big relief, possibly, or big changes in the tax system in certain countries, relief of debt of some sort of countries or of individual people, which I'm hoping for, or some big change that is starting to happen in the tax system. Hopefully not going up, but it's kind of a bit hard to say because it's with the south node. I'm hoping it's kind of less, and Scorpio also rules people's investments, finances, things like stock market, things like, and then there will be an eclipse in Taurus, which is again connected to prices, to money. So we're gonna see shakeups. We're already seeing it with the prices again, crisis with money, shakeups with that. And we're going to see investments or savings that they might be under some crisis there as well. It's just the beginning. And because Mars going retrograde, a lot of astrologers, financial ones, are expecting big financial crisis on the markets as well. I would advise you pension, K40, what was it? Where you keep your pension money or mutual funds or trusts or hedges. Be careful. If you can withdraw your money, can be a good advice. If you can withdraw your money from a bank to have some cash, might be a good idea as well, because there can be big surprises there. And I think it might not be like totally you lose all your money or whatever, because Venus is in this eclipse. But the following one in November is not that easy. And because Venus is in this eclipse, if something happens with your savings or mutual trusts and investments or pensions and so on, maybe there will be some kind of a silver lining, like the government can compensate for those things, or I'm hoping for that. But just start, you see big shakeups in those areas. So there you go, guys. And Mars going retrograde in Gemini. I talked a lot about that. They can be a big event in October or around the retrograde, the stationary period, connected to civil unrest, connected to Gemini's society as well. It's the towns, the cities, it's the people in them, and Mars is unrest. It's more violence of some sort. Fingers crossed, just be safe, I think Mars holds a very good trine with Saturn the whole time. So the situation can be under control, even if it's very much escalating. Like I said, also the situation between brother versus brother, Russia, Ukraine, especially on the stationary period, which is the whole October, can be escalating, but it's kind of held under control still because of the trine of Saturn. But when Mars starts moving retrograde, I hope that there might be some pulling back, basically in November, December, a little bit of this re-examining of the situation. Fingers crossed again. I'm not God to tell you, I'm just here trying to unfold the meanings of what is going to be happening. All right, so now let's start with the 12 signs. October, Sun, Moon, Rising. So Virgo, the month starts with Mercury turning direct in your sign. And especially those later born Virgos that are, the last 10 degrees, let's say, they would feel a positive improvement. If things were not going according to plan, they'll start running smoothly. If there were some stressful things that you have to manage every day, that you have to fix, to edit, to improve, if there was changes of plans all the time, well, now all starts calming down. And if you've been working hard on some mercurial project, which is connected to writing, speaking, business, report, anything to do with business is Mercury, anything to do with communications, with media, with marketing, with sales, with or even if there was some complications in relationship, because Mercury is a relational planet, in complications with managing your daily activities, it's all start resolving and things calm down, become more peaceful. You start seeing the results of efforts that you've done, especially that require planning, organizing, thinking, writing, speaking, media, all those mercurial things. You're going to start seeing the good results, the effects of those. And as I said, any crisis in communication and in relationships, especially for later born Virgo, will start improving and settling down. Then Mercury continues its direct motion into your second house. So if there were some problems there while Mercury was retrograde in September with finances, with resources, again, they start calming down, improving as well. Anything to do with money as well starts improving. And there is a very big focus on finances this month for you guys. Actually, if you notice, all the important shifts are happening in those very material houses. The second, the sixth, and the 10th that we're going to talk about. And these are houses. It means this month in October, you're dealing with practical things. And Virgo is great at practical things. You're dealing with possessions, with resources. Actually, things are good there. There can be opportunities for new finances. There can be renewed interest towards making money or towards resources, possessions, buying things, whatever, buying, making, whatever. And at the same time, Saturn will also turn direct in your sixth house. It's not going to be retrograde again in your sixth house for the next 28 years. So it's the last time, and you feel remarkable, gradually improvement in matters related to the sixth house. So if there was some complications to your health with some chronic illness, they can start improving and moving forward. I'm sorry, I'm sick again. They can start unfolding with the Saturn turning direct in the sixth house of health issues. You can start finding solutions, or they don't feel as heavy. Also, if you've had some complications connected to your work or employees or your own employment, some difficult situation or situation that required you to put extra efforts and hard work, you're going to start seeing the results of those extra efforts or those restructures that you did in regards to your work environment or work. Or if there was some delays with work or blockages, they can start getting solved with Saturn moving direct in your sixth house. Also, in ancient astrology, the sixth house is debt. If you have debt to someone, it might be time that you've paid it off and can start moving forward, or any kind of debt situation might start improving, hopefully. And the other big thing is that Mars will also change direction in your 10th house. That's another house connected to worldly achievements, material things, material recognition to some extent. It's another earthy house as we know it. So there is focus towards the end of the month. Again, there is a big focus the last 10 days, especially when Mars is stationary and it's changing direction. It's changing it on the 27th, I think, something like that. But there is some gradual change and change of direction in regards to your career, where you're headed, what you want to do. Maybe some project from the past can come back to be perfected. Maybe a new project can come, because Mars is still direct the whole October. Only towards the end goes retrograde. And when it goes retrograde, you have to work extra hard on that project. And when Mars goes retrograde in the 10th house, some of you might revise. Do I want to stay in this career? Do I want to have this boss? Some of you, and especially if you're not in the right career, the Mars retrograde period can be really the time you kind of start making changes there. For others that are in the right career, they can be very busy, as I said, with more demands. And sometimes in extreme cases, you can have problems that appear with authority figures, institutions, bosses during this Mars retrograde period. So be careful with those during the retrograde period, that you don't put yourself in some trouble with father figures, authority figures, institutions, because you might have to be dealing with those for 2-3 months. And sometimes it's not just trouble, it's just having to deal with such matters while Mars is retrograde there, putting extra efforts and so on. I remember Mars retrograde in my 10th house. It was stressful. I had a lot of problems with, police was stopping us all the time. I didn't have serious problems, but there were some problems. And I was having some problems with learning to affirm my authority, because, it might be, so themes about authority will come around, institutions, authority, speaking up for what with such authorities. But you have to be cautious and act kind of cleverly when Mars is retrograde there. Think twice or 3 times before you act, because impulsivity tends to get punished during Mars retrograde, but you can get a lot of done with your career while Mars is retrograde. I remember I restructured my career. I worked very hard during that Mars retrograde period, and my whole social status changed, because 10th house is social status. So a huge change happened in my life during that time as well. So I restructured the career and so on, but a whole social status, I decided to get divorced. So I think it's very powerful, Mars retrograde in the 10th house, guys. But the final result was really fantastic. I was so happy with that, even though it was a stressful period. So it's starting, it's building up, but it's very important. It's very important time for Virgos of pivotal, life-changing, direction-changing decisions in regards to where you're headed, your career, your social status, your impact on the world. You can do something really big during this Mars retrograde. Well, for others, it might be like withdrawing a little bit your energy and rethinking if they're not in the right direction, how they present themselves to the world, the career that they're doing, the efforts that they're putting, what direction they want to put them in. And there is, of course, the eclipse that is happening in Virgo. It's happening in your 3rd house with the Sun and Venus, Sun, Venus, Mercury. So there can be some big focus towards the end of the month, and in November, in matters regarding, and because it's new moon eclipse, starting something new connected to writing, to speaking, to communications, connected to self-made wealth or business against the third house, transactions, sales, but sometimes it can indicate also crisis. Eclipses can lead to crisis, but the final result I think will be positive because Venus is part of this eclipse, so it's making it more beneficial. It's taking off some of the negative sides, so some crisis connected to relationships with relatives, siblings, friends, mates, social media marketing, websites. To be careful around cars when driving, to be careful with using any tools or machinery, especially around the 25th, 24th, 25th, 26th, and some crises that can happen in regards to those people in your everyday environment. And some kind of a, your thinking is also changing. On a deep spiritual level, it's your thinking and communications that are shifting in some way. And last but not least is that Jupiter, the last days, the last 3-4 days of the month, is moving back into your seventh house. It was in your eighth for 5-6 months. Now, in basically mostly in November and December, it will be in your seventh house, which means especially the later born Virgos, the last 5 degrees Virgos, 25 to 30, can feel really strongly this positive aspect of Jupiter, something good coming to you from others, improvement of relationships, a good relationship strengthening or taking it to the next level, someone from the past coming that improves your life, makes you happier, or receiving support from someone well-meaning. Generally, your vibration will rise, you'll feel happier, more physically stronger, more positive. Jupiter can improve health as well. It's the last 5 degrees of Virgo. If you're from 25 to 30 degrees of Virgo, you would feel Jupiter into the opposite sign from yours very positively. And these things will come to you through others, through relationships, through collaboration, or through just hearing something great from another, feeling more uplifted, all in all. So, thank you so much, Virgos. And if you want to take advantage of this eclipse in the third house to learn something fated, these are the courses of the late Nicole Stojanovic that we are offering on promotion at 30% off just for the next few weeks. And the proceeds go to his daughter, who is trying to basically to gather all his never published courses and books, and hopefully this money will help in that direction. Thank you so much.